Democrats have accused Trump and his administration of conducting raids on elementary schools. Is ICE really after your children? We're going to break all of this down and more for you today on this episode of the Reconcile podcast. All right, guys, before we jump into today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with your friends. Leave a 5-star review wherever you are watching or listening. This will really help us out and help people find the show and hear the truth about culture, about the gospel, about the Bible. And you can also check out our merch at thereconcileco.com if you want to help support the show. And very soon we will have some fresh spring merch available. We're working on those designs right now. So if you have anything in particular that you'd really like, just comment or shoot me a message and let me know, and we'll try to incorporate that. Okay, let's jump into today's episode. So I just want to start at the top saying that my show is ultimately, I'm speaking to Christians. We are speaking about what does the Bible really say? What is objectively true? Because we care about that here on this show. So today, why we're talking about this issue is because I believe it is one of the top issues that Christians are manipulated into believing a lie about. And so I want to cover this. I want you to really understand this and understand what's happening and what is not true, because the legacy media is dead. They don't care about the truth anymore, and they're just peddling lies from the left's agenda. So this all kicked off with a deportation hoax perpetuated by the media. At a Chicago public school, they falsely claimed that immigration and customs enforcement agents had shown up at Hamline Elementary School, but were denied entrance, ABC7 reported. The federal officials were actually from the U.S. Secret Service and investigating a threat. After the truth came out, they just doubled down on their stance, and they will not open the doors for ICE to cooperate. But Chicago Democratic Mayor Brandon Johnson noted after the truth came out that it is imperative that individuals not spread unverified information that sparks fear across the city. So before we get into that, let me play you a short clip of Tom Homan, our new border czar.
But you can see the number steadily increase, the number of arrests nationwide as we open up the aperture. Right now it's concentrating public safety threats, national security threats. That's a smaller population. So we're going to do this on priority base, as President Trump's promised, but as that aperture opens, there'll be more arrests nationwide.
When you talk about the aperture opening, the estimates of perhaps those who have been convicted or arrested in the past, 700,000 to over 1 million. So after you do that, then you go after everybody who is there illegally.
If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table, because it's not okay to violate laws of this country. You got to remember, every time you enter this country illegally, you violated a crime under Title 8, United States Code 1325. It's a crime. So if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. And that's why I'm hoping those who are in the country illegally who have not been ordered removed by the federal judge should leave.
Okay, so you heard it from him. They are not after your children. They are not after your children's friends. Doesn't that sound ridiculous? That after a few days in office, that Trump's and his administration, their number one priority is to go after illegal immigrant children? That's absurd. And they only push that because they don't have any real basis in reality. So all they can do is perpetuate the lies to try to desperately keep you on their side, because they are bought and paid for by the left, by politicians, and those politicians enjoy bringing people into this country. They don't care about their assimilation. They don't care about them thriving here. They just bring them in, put them on welfare so that they have a voting base. So that's all that they really care about. And the media just goes along with that. And they don't care if your children go to school being afraid or afraid for their friends. They don't care about that. They are not after children. They are after criminals, convicted criminals, and the worst kinds of criminals. And they are after people that are a threat to our national security. That is the number one priority, as you just heard it from Tom Homan. Of course, children are not off. They're not let off the hook, unfortunately. Ultimately, they could still face deportation. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But as I've heard Tom Homan say and many others reiterate, if you had an American citizen here in the United States, this happens every day, that broke the law and the authorities come to arrest them and take them to jail or to prison, they're separated from their family and their children. And that is a tragedy. But what should we do? Allow that person to remain out on the streets just because it's an unfortunate consequence that they caused their children to have to face, that they will be separated from them, or that their children might face the consequence of deportation because they entered a nation illegally? No, of course not. We still have to prosecute that person. They still have to face consequences if we are truly a nation of law and order. So this is something that happens every day to American citizens. So remember that when they are trying to manipulate you with these stories. It is sad, and I don't want any tragedy or change or a child to have to leave this country where they might have a better chance at a better life. But we can't get into all of that today, but there's lots of research that shows helping people in their own nations are actually what is best for those people and for that country. It's called brain drain. You can look that up and read a little bit about that, how you're taking some of the best, most hardworking people out of those nations, and then they never get better and they continue to be run by the cartels. But another question that I have are, like, for Selena Gomez. I'm sure you saw the video circulating of her sobbing and coming undone on her social media. I have a question for you. And let me say first too that I understand that some of that is because of this fake propaganda that people are taking in, not questioning, not understanding that it's not based in truth or reality, because they're being told by these huge legacy media news outlets that people are coming after children in elementary schools. So it's a little bit understandable, although I do have this question that makes me less understanding. Where were the tears for Americans that have lost their lives from illegal alien violence? Where are the tears for those people? Where are the tears for Laken Riley? Where are the tears for Rachel Morin or Jocelyn Nungare? Where are the tears for the over 300,000 missing children? Most likely it has been proven that a large portion of them are either dead, being sex trafficked, or in forced child labor. Where are the tears and the outrage for those people? They don't have compassion for that group of people. It's only one group of people, and they don't want you to see the tragedy, the heartbreak, the crime, the pain that is felt on the other end of this equation. Here's a video of Tom and Dr. Phil talking about this at the border.
Large groups of kids, 50 plus children, they're unaccompanied. You take them in, you have to give them over to the NGOs. The NGOs call somebody to come pick them up. They either pick them up or they fly them into the area where but the NGOs is just a regular individual, a regular employee. So they're not checking to see if that whoever's taking that child is really, a relative or anything to do with that.
And there's been many investigations where some of these children are actually rented by the cartels. You know, if you come with a child, you're not going to be detained, right? So the family groups won't be detained. So they'll rent a child to a male adult, use this child, get across the border, be released. Then the child goes back and be re-rented. Who knows what happens to that child and whose possession they're putting that child in?
Yeah, I've had border guards tell me, I've seen this child come through here 5 or 6 times. I recognize this child.
No, and there's been instances where you've had individuals that come across with a minor and say that it's their child, and when you run their fingerprints, they have a prior detention or they've been detained in another state for some type of child molestation.
Okay, so you heard them. This is not some great conspiracy theory. These are confirmed numbers, and probably not even fully accurate numbers, because this was so grossly mismanaged by the previous administration. And on another note, this is something that we'll probably cover soon, but you heard him mention NGOs. So these are non-governmental organizations. And I don't have confirmation of this yet, but I just want to lay something out for you that is extremely disturbing, to say the least. Some of these NGOs that are in our country, that are self-described as Christian organizations like the Catholic Church or like World Relief that are directly involved with bringing these illegal migrants into the country, or refugees or asylum seekers, whatever the case may be. Although a lot of them aren't following the legal process to apply for something like that status. But they are directly involved in this process with supposedly sending them out into the country ready to assimilate and get themselves situated and become productive members of our society. However, this was a statement given by Deborah White, who worked in Health and Human Services Unaccompanied Child Program. She joined those senators in calling for justice mere hours before she shared her experience with News Nation Now. This is a quote from Deborah White. "Make no mistake, children were not going to their parents. They were being trafficked with billions of taxpayer dollars by a contractor, some of them being these NGOs that I spoke about. I don't have exact evidence right now that any of these were directly associated with this. I can't track any of them to specific children right now, but I will be researching this further. And if I find any of that information, I will bring it to you, especially now that Trump has found some of these children, reportedly by Fox News, upwards of 80,000 of them, that apparently the last administration could not find. So maybe there will be names released and we can track some of this directly. But so back to her quote, by a contractor failing to vet sponsors and process children safely, with government officials complicit in it, White said at the roundtable. So this is all very disturbing to me. It's hitting a little too close to home. And I have a lot of questions, and I think that we all should. And I hope and pray that churches and that supposed Christian organizations have not been involved in this massive, huge scale operation of trafficking children. And there have been other countries and companies in other countries, I believe it was Goza, that came out and admitted that they know that this is happening and being perpetuated by our own federal government and your tax dollars. Okay, so this is here's just a few examples of some of the people that have been deported over the last couple of weeks. So this was a tweet from Dr. Phil, just in: the first arrest in Chicago with real Tom Homan was a convicted sex offender and an internet predator from Thailand. Caroline Leavitt, the new press secretary, who is doing an incredible job, she also put a few on display at her first press conference. So ICE New York arrested a Turkish national that was a known or suspected terrorist. ICE San Francisco, a Mexican national convicted of continuous sexual abuse of a child 14 or younger. ICE St. Paul, a Honduran man convicted of fourth-degree criminal sexual conduct with a minor. ICE Boston, a citizen of the Dominican Republic convicted of second-degree murder for beating his pregnant wife to death in front of her 5-year-old son. These are the people being deported right now that celebrities and progressive Christians are crying about and emphasizing. These are the people being deported, and the left can't seem to celebrate this. Ask yourself why. Why is it that they can't even admit or concede one single thing that Trump has done well, including the deportation of child sex abusers, of rapists, of gangbangers, of fentanyl peddlers? Why is it that they can't get on board with this? What about the verses, progressive Christians, from Psalm 82 that say, defend the weak and the fatherless, uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed? Are these people not oppressed? Are they not poor enough for you, these children being trafficked across our wide open border, or no longer wide open border? Praise God. Proverbs 31:8, speak out on behalf of the voiceless and for the rights of all who are vulnerable. All who are vulnerable, not just the ones that the media would tell you to have compassion for. And it's also important to look at I know one of the reporters, I can't remember her name right now, but talked about some refugees from Afghanistan. So let's talk about that for a second. Of course, I want, and any Christian would want, someone that is truly being oppressed in another country, that is being tortured or facing potential murder, especially for their faith, which happens all the time. Afghanistan is on the list of the top most dangerous countries for Christians to live. So, of course, I would want them to be granted asylum or to be able to seek refuge in another country and be safe and protected from that kind of evil. But we have to look at what has happened in our country and the severe mismanagement of our border and our national security. And mostly by Democrats. Our country has mostly been run by Democrats over the last couple of decades. And it has been so mismanaged that we can't possibly hope to help those people right now, because all we can do right now is go into survivor mode. We have to shut down our border. We have to deport. We have to spend billions of dollars of taxpayer money fixing the problem that they created. That's what we have to focus on right now, so much so that we can't possibly focus on trying to help the people that actually need it. And who created that problem in the first place? Democrats that pushed for open borders or nonsense border policies that are completely and utterly ineffective. They caused this problem. So you can point to them for the people that came into this country expecting to get handouts and not face consequences that now are having to be deported or being separated from their children, which, by the way, Obama built the cages for those children and separated them first. But all people want to talk about and point out is that Trump did this. No, Obama set that up. They created this problem. They are the reason that we can't just focus on the people that truly need our help. And I think most rational people want to help those in need when we are able to, when we fix and clean up the mess that has been forced on all of us. All right, before we go, I do want to cover a couple of the most common lies that are pushed by the progressive Christian crew. One of their favorite slogans is that no human is illegal. And one of their favorite accusations to throw at me and many conservative Christians is when we talk about people like Kate Steinle or Laken Riley or Molly Tibbetts, is that we are calling all illegal immigrants criminals. And that's not true. That's not the case. However, if they've entered this country illegally, they have already committed a crime. Do I believe that all of them have bad intentions and that they would go on to commit further crimes in this country? No, I don't believe that. It doesn't disregard the fact that they have already committed that crime and that they are not supposed to be here. However, I have talked about in an episode that I did on the border that I believe once they are here, if they are not committing obviously further crimes and harming other people, that yes, as Christians, we should do what we can within reason to help them and to welcome them and to show the gospel. But that is totally separated from the fact that our government has the right and the responsibility to protect our border as a sovereign nation. If they don't, we are no sovereign or respectable nation to begin with. So, no, I'm not calling all immigrants criminals. I have a lot of respect for immigrants, and I believe that they should get to be here by a legal process and in a certain amount, and that if we should have a good process for seeking asylum or for refugees. My own family were refugees at one point. My family, some of my family came over from Holland during the Holocaust. And a lot of my family were murdered in concentration camps during the Holocaust. And I am very thankful. And I wouldn't be here today if they weren't allowed to come into this country. But that doesn't mean that I will advocate for a completely unsecured and open border, because it is dangerous and it hurts people. It hurts people and children and women that are trying to get here. The process to get here, the trek and the harrowing journey that they have to go on just to get to the border is extremely dangerous to them because of the cartel. Women are raped, children are murdered or left to die under the elements. So it's not safe for anyone. We are incentivizing the cartel to traffic human beings across our border. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry for them. So I'm going to put the burden of proof on you for a minute, and you tell me why this man should still be allowed in our country and how your policies, tell me how your policies aren't the direct reason for this man still being in the country.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
This Haitian illegal alien he has 17 convictions. 17 convictions. Why is he still here? Perpetuating crimes against the American people. I have not seen any tears or outrage for that. The second thing is that illegal aliens don't commit as many crimes or aren't as likely to commit crimes as US born citizens. First of all, we don't have any way of truly tracking that because by nature they are undocumented people. So none of that is tracked well. And also it's irrelevant. This is not the way a sovereign, respectable, ordered nation should function. It's not the way God set up nations to function. Don't forget that in ancient Israel, there were requirements to become a citizen of ancient Israel, and it was assimilation. And not only assimilation to the culture, but to God's law. That is loving. And you have self-professing Christians telling you that you're a colonizer because you believe that what is best for people when they come into this country is that they should assimilate to our law, which at one point, and hopefully we're returning there, had a basis in Christian morality. Christian morality changed the world for the better. And you have self-professing Christians telling you you're hateful for saying that we should only allow a certain amount of people into our nation, which just logistically and common sense would tell you is the only possible way. You can't just have this unfettered influx of people coming into our nation. It's like Bill Federer said, if you ate everything you were supposed to eat in a year in a single day, you would die. A country is no different. But you had to assimilate to God's law. That is loving. Is it more loving to allow people to continue in their false religion, knowing that they're going to meet an exclusive God that says the only way to him is through Jesus? Is it loving to continue to allow people to continue in their sin or in their criminality or going without any consequences to breaking the law? No, that is not the most loving thing to do. There are always two sides to every coin, and the Democrats only want to show you one. They want to show you the one that benefits them. They want to show you the one that selfishly benefits them and their agenda. The most loving thing to do is to secure our border, to deport illegal aliens that are criminals especially, and to become a nation of law and order again. And that is what is best for everyone, including immigrants. All right, I hope you guys have a great week, that this has equipped you and emboldened you. God bless.